Hello, thank you for tuning in. Um, it is actually, I just looked up, I came back in from outside. Um, Again, as a reminder to those of you listening, I arrived in Malaysia from Arizona in the United States of America um, just 2 days ago. And so I just came back into the apartment and I look up and it's 3:33 currently, this time, currently right now. Okay. So that is certainly confirmation that what I am going to share is what is needing to be said and shared. I hope that it brings clarity to you, to your situation, to your bloodline, to all that seek the truth. May the words that I speak in my journey be one of a lighthouse uh, that guides the ships, that carries the cargo. Um, on their journeys. Okay? So there's something about a kickstart. Okay? And so the name of this video is going to be called The Unveiling or The Ripping of the Veil or something like that. Okay? Spirit is speaking so extremely clear. I was just outside and just stargazing and just talking to my ancestors and talking to the extraterrestrials, and which are my ancestors as well, but I like to distinguish those between those and the gods that we identify, such as Avarat and Erevat and Yahweh and and that. So but I've been hearing one song since probably since I started this journey on May 1st of leaving the U.S. and relocating abroad, and that was by word 36 days ago. Okay, so any names of synchronicities that of any sort that I mention, or I should say anything may synchronize with you. So just okay, but the first song is by Music Soul Child, and that song is called Love. Okay, and so part of the way that song goes is love. Ever since the first moment I spoke your name, from then on I knew, or something like that, that by you being in my life, things were destined to change, 'cause love. Okay, so that song is talking about how love brings clarity. Love also brings judgment, but love is most often love is abused. Love is misunderstood. Love is not read correctly, correct, correctly. Okay, and what divine source is wanting us to get to. So that song is very significant to those of you who are on this love twin flame journey this lifetime around. That song is very significant. You may be familiar with it, but I encourage you to go back and listen to it again, and listen to it this time. Listen to it this time from the sense of divine love being that love. Look at it from that point. Don't look at it from someone in your mind, him or her, okay, that you have been involved with, or that, or want to be involved with. Think about it from divine being that love, that unconditional love that is perfectly nurturing, perfectly disciplinarian, perfectly heaven, perfectly wrath, perfectly love, perfectly sympathy, perfect empathy, perfect anger, perfect, perfect. Okay? Think about that love and how much that love means to you and has helped you along your journey to this point. Okay? Think about that as you listen to that song. Okay? So for those of you who that resonate with this whole twin flame love journey thing that many of the tarot readers, oracles, and light workers, star seeds, and that are that have been sharing this information with us, probably for the majority of them, for the past 7 or 8 years, probably. It started probably 7 or 8 years ago. Okay? And so for those of us who were part of that, I guess, first round or what have you, or this round, I guess I should say, um, we're coming into something new. Okay? And I know that for certain, as an earth angel, an extraterrestrial earth angel, and Gaia beacon here, again, Gaia beacon here, that is extremely important right now. I don't know why that is. I'm not one to pat myself on the back. I don't need to do that. I don't seek accolades and things of that sort. But there's something about the light and understanding what the light and the love and what those two things mean. Okay, because it provides so much security, peace of mind. Think about when you can see physically and when you cannot see physically. Okay? Most people are not as at peace in the dark as they are in the light or with the light on. Okay? And so I was talking to Divine Source downstairs, and they were sharing with me some intricate things about my journey. Okay? And yeah. And so I started asking some questions as I got done listening to that song by Music Soul Child. Oh, the other song is, I just heard it just briefly when I came back into the apartment. It is Tears of a Clown, okay, by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, okay. There's sad things known to man, but ain't too much sadder than the tears of a clown when there's no one around. Okay? They try to keep their sadness hid, smiling at the club at guys, but in the lonely room she cries the tears of a clown. Okay? When there's no one around. Okay? So, and as I started to sing that song, my right palm got some bumps. Okay, and so that represents prosperity, or in addition to whatever you have coming in already. Okay, and that could be prosperity of any sort. People often relate it to money, but that may or may not be the case. Okay, but so someone's in that energy, and I look up at the clock. My head is down. I'm looking at the ground, but I look up at the clock, and it's 3:41. That's a 4-4. Okay, so we go from 3:33 to 4-4, and that was the only 2 times I looked up at the clock. Okay, so far. Okay, and so we're experiencing an evolution. But it's not an evolution like one that's written down, like you can go to a book. Okay? It's an evolution that some may call a prophecy. And it deals with light, as we've been talking about, and dark. Okay? And what I've come to realize is that the being that we call God, Yahweh, Elohim, El Shaddai, whatever you want to call them, Allah, whatever you refer to them as, okay, that's you, and that's your relationship with them. Okay, if if you are seeing response to that, and its response in the way that you would like, then fantastic. Okay, again, that's the wonderful thing about spirituality as opposed to religion. Religion seeks to confine you, confine your thoughts, confine your actions. That's why they have all the rules. Okay, it seeks to confine you and rule you. Okay, spirituality wants you to be free and wants you running through the roses and the daisies and the, right? Okay, maybe not the roses, those have thorns. But, they want you tra-la-la-la-line through the tulips for the most part. That's what spiritual or spirituality wants. Okay? It doesn't want you going to church every Sunday. Okay? Because that shouldn't even be necessary. I mean, what in the hell is wrong with someone if they need to go every Sunday? I mean, really? Can you do something to sustain yourself for 10 days? Can you do that? So we get into accountability with religion and the lack thereof. Okay, again, that's why priests are able to do what they do to young boys. Okay, and ministers, Reverend James Cleveland, okay, homosexual, okay, many other ministers, okay, they lead double lives. They're a deacon, and then they got the dick on, they have double lives. And but I was talking to Most High outside, and they were sharing with me some very intricate details about my journey. Okay, and there's something key about 10 years ago. Thank you, Spirit. There's something key about 10 years ago, wherever you were 10 years ago. So I'm going to share with you where I was 10 years ago. And again, this is where I'm hearing revelatory. This is where the revelatory information, knowledge, resonating, whatever resonates with you, I just thank you for listening in. Okay. So, ten years ago, this time of the year, May of 2015, I was open to dating, but I was not dating anyone. The year prior had moved Judy or had moved her down to Florida, where I was at the time. And I was on dialysis. I was a little past a year. I was a little past 2 years. I started dialysis on 2/15 of 2013. And that was for 4.5 years. So, but in 2015, I was in the middle of my treatments, and I was very much focused on my treatments. I was very much focused and extremely disciplined, making sure that I toed the line in regards to my nutrition and not consuming any excess water, and going into treatments. I was doing, in 2015, I think I was still doing 3 days a week. I had not switched to 5 days a week yet. So in 2015, I was doing 3 days a week treatments with Fresenius, okay? And I was seeing I had met someone at some point in time, and I have journals, but I'm not going to go get them. They're in one of the bedrooms. But I was seeing, or I had started to see, a teacher, and her name is Linda, okay? And for some reason, Even in my own thought processes, she has flown under the radar. Okay? So again, okay? You apply it to your own situation as it is, or as it fits. Her name is Linda Ammons, Ammons. Okay? She's a teacher, elementary, middle school teacher. Okay? Or was at that time. And loved her job, appeared to be very, very much for Most High, as the Scorpio, as the Taurus, as the Cancer, just as they pretend. The Cancer so much not for God necessarily, but just kind of a good person, type of energy. Not one committed or devoted, but just a good person. And my calves are sore from all the walking that I've done. And I think when I was at LAX for almost 24 hours, I think I walked, it was some insane amount. It was ridiculous. Because whenever I would sit down, whenever I get tired of sitting down, and a little TMI, I've lost some meat on my butt, so there's not as much cushion there. So whenever my butt would start hurting from sitting down, then I would stand up and walk around a little bit. Man, I walked so many steps around that place. I'd have to go get the watch to see, but yeah. So anyway, 2015, I was Linda Ammons, a teacher. She wears a lot of makeup. And she wears wigs. Okay? Now, I wasn't a fan of all of the makeup and all of that. Because I just believe that you are, and when I say a lot of makeup, like she wore a lot of base, not like she looked like a clown, but she wore a lot of base. And I think that's because she might have some type of skin something, I think. And so where she has like blotches, dark spots on her skin, I think. But Linda told me a couple of things that I'm going to share with you. So when I met Linda, and ironically, nothing's ironic, the house that Katina and I moved into from the townhouse in South Daytona to Daytona Beach, so Florida, okay? We lived on the same street that Linda Ammons lived on, okay? We lived on that street when I got the call for my kidney transplant. I was in Castleberry at the time at the treatment facility, but my home address was on that street in Daytona Beach, the same street that Linda lived on or owned a house on. I think she rented out, okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Spirit, and Linda was just like a flashlight. Because we didn't date for very long, but this thing about 10 years ago has kept coming back to me today. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And I started to think, what was going on 10 years ago? Okay? And so her and I went to Dave and Buster's together. We went to Busch Gardens together. And now some things are starting to kind of fall into place. One of the things Linda told me, it's 3:52:55. One of the things Linda told me was that Either she was a virgin or she had only been with one person or something like that. And I think she told me she was a virgin. I think. Okay. Or at 50, she still was a virgin. Maybe at 50, she was still a virgin. She's a little older than I am. Okay. I tend to attract older women. Not to say that a younger, mature individual could not qualify, but I tend to attract older women because of the maturity level. Typically, obviously, those motherfuckers are clowns too. So, so I started to think, wow, okay. And even as I share with you, things are just like ding, 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 like the amusement park thing. I hadn't thought about that, but amusement park. Okay. She did not have any children, unless she was lying about that. She did not have any children. She lived alone. Drove a Chrysler PT Cruiser. Okay? A Chrysler PT Cruiser, maroon. Okay? Or burgundy. Okay? I remember helping her set up her classroom like that particular, or break it. No, yeah. Like get ready for summer. I remember helping her get ready for the summer in 2015. I remember going to the school she was at and helping her break everything down and all that, I think, and get ready for the summer, I think. Or take everything and start the year in August. One of those, I can't remember. Let's see. Someone's name could be Elysia or something like that starts with an E. Someone's last name could be Brown that you're dealing with. Katina. Thomas, or last name starts with a T. CT, TC. Okay, any of those initials. Okay, BE or EB, confirmation. And by the end of 2015, I was married, and I married Katina. Okay? So that marriage happened in November of 2015. Okay. And I truly did believe that that was the direction that I was to go. However blinding that was. Okay. Do you know something? There are those out here who hope you make a wrong decision. There are those out here, believe it or not, and this is what we have to understand. Confirmation, excuse me. This is what we have to understand as well, is that the statement, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, is so absolutely fundamentally true that the things of the 3D, let me say it the other way, the things of the 5D, the things of the spirit, the 3D cannot even understand. You cannot call a police officer, okay? Perhaps one day there will be a day when you can. You cannot today call a police office, a police department, and say, hello, yes, my life is being ruined by someone doing witchcraft against me. Do you want to know who they are so that you can go arrest them? You can't do that today. I wonder why. I wonder why. I just got a major throb up in my cranium on the right side, like whoa, whoa. I don't know what that was. That was like sonic, like wow, wow. As soon as I said that, it was like whoa, whoa. That was serious. It's 3:57. So hopefully one day there will be a system in the 3D where you can call up and say, hello, this person is doing witchcraft against me. How do you know that, sir? How do you know that, ma'am? Well, this is how. Because these are the things that are happening in my life, and I know that I have no karmic debt. And they should be able to, whether they understand you having karmic debt or not, you being able to call them and let them know that someone's doing witchcraft against your prosperity in any way, shape, form, or fashion, against your family, children, spouse, whatever. Okay? How amazing would that be? That's a different world. Okay? And when we understand how true that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, and we understand that we are human beings as we are in this form, thanks to the Nephilim and Anunnaki and that, we still are beings, which means the vast majority of our work is done through being and not doing in this form. The beingness, your beingness happens in the other dimensions, not in the matrix. And I'm hearing you are in the matrix, but your being is in the astral. You are in the matrix. Your being is in the astral. So what has love taught us so far? What has love taught us so far? You could be 22 years old and listening to this. You could be 45. You could be 70. What has love taught you throughout your journey? And I'm speaking to high vibrational beings at this point. Others still have shadow work to do, and so their answer would be bitter a little bit, okay? But for those of you who have cleared your karmic debt and ancestry bloodline, what has love taught you in your journey this lifetime? What has love taught you? What lessons have you brought with you from previous lifetimes and now have added to what you've learned today, up to today? I'm going to share a couple of mine. I say a couple. We'll see. So the first thing that I know about love, that I have learned, is that it's so easy and it feels so good that people often mistake it when they run into it. That's a lesson that I've learned about pure love. You know, Yeshua, Christ, they call him Jesus, but that's the ascended master Issa, the spirit of Avarat. Issa came here with pure love, and they denied that love to the point of hanging him on the cross, because they did not recognize the love that he came with, that being came here with, that esoteric energy came here with. They did not recognize it. And because they did not recognize it, they crucified it. But it was the purest form of love to ever walk this place. How is that possible? How is that possible that man did not recognize that love? How is that? And what did that say about man's understanding about what love is? And maybe that'll be the title of this video, What Love Is. And just like Forrest, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. I know what real love is. Okay? And the distorted man, the distorted man sees love as a tool to be used for their self-gain. Man sees love as a tool to be used for their self-gain. So, man, and again, this is unisex, man or woman, okay, goes out and he pays for sex. Okay? That is paying for what love should be giving you. Who out there, it's 404, who out there has been paying for what love should give you? You don't have to buy what love is offering. You don't have to buy it. It's free. It's free. No pressure. Just open your arms and be vulnerable. And someone might need to be very vulnerable. I was starting to say something with a V. Okay? Open your arms and be vulnerable. So do not pay for what love is offering for free. Love says, you are crying. Come, let me hold you. Love says, you're having difficulty learning this? Perhaps I can help. Love says, I see you're pursuing this. I saw this, and I wanted to bless you with this. Love says, I do these things without expectation of anything in return other than the pure love I give. That's what love says. And when I think about this, and I think about Issa, Yeshua, being this representation in the earth when he arrived here, so man rejected God's love, so now God has to send wrath. Man rejected my love, now I have to send wrath. So 2,000 something years ago, man rejected Yeshua, Issa. Okay? And divine is saying now, because you rejected that, it's time for the other option. Okay? And again, am I speaking of some global World War III event? Perhaps. Or It could be your own personal journey. Again, it's micro and macro. You are the earth, 70% water, 30% flesh. You are. You are the earth. Okay? Confirmation with all that falling down. Something's tumbling. Tower, tower, tower. And so now I can better understand how absolutely, and I can only, yeah, I don't even know if it's a measure. I'm kind of afraid to even say that it is a measure, to say that I understand. I'm kind of afraid to say that. Avarat. And that's my baby. Avarat is that's my honey. That's we're married. We are, yeah. I am their bride, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one, but I am, and I have consecrated myself to such, and yeah, that marriage was consummated a long time ago. A long, long time ago. Before this lifetime. That marriage was consummated a long, long time ago. Beyond the place that we are. So, what has true love taught us? What has pure love? And let me not even say true love. Let me say pure love. What has pure love taught us? For me, another lesson is to never settle for anything less than that. Because that is who I am, there is no question in my mind that that is all that I deserve. Anyone who even attempts to shaft me and give me 10% less, they get removed. So when you know your worth, then you can walk a better life. You can walk an easier life. You can walk a quieter life. I transitioned from Arizona in the United States of America starting on May 1st with no plans or anything whatsoever other than the guidance of highest divine white light. When I got to LAX, I did not even have a confirmed ticket yet. Yet here I am in Malaysia. I did not have to hassle, hound, beg, lie, cheat, or steal to get here. In fact, I gave $80 to a lady in LA. Okay? Shout out to Mamba. And Vanessa, happy birthday. It was yesterday. It's 4/11. So I hope there's information coming in for you, collective. If you consider yourself the collective or wonder what that is, it's okay. It's no problem. All it is just another name for the 144,000 chosen ones, those who are of the high vibrational functionality and lifestyle, lifehood. So many people sell themselves short when it comes to love. Do you know that? So many sell themselves short because they think that's all they're worth. They think that's all they can get. They think that's all they deserve. And in some cases, they're telling the truth. They know themselves, In some cases, yeah, they're right. They are being accountable. Yep, I'm a sleaze, I'm a slob. I mistreat men, I mistreat women. Yep, I got to work on my ego. I know I have anger issues. Whatever it is, But generally, most people sell themselves short. And do you know where they sell themselves short on love? And 99.99999 forever 9% of the time is with themselves. There is absolutely no way you can love someone else more than you love yourself. I'm going to say that again. There is absolutely no way that you or I can love someone else more than we love ourselves. We cannot, there is no way that I can put out more than I receive, or receive more than there is no way. There's no way. No. Things automatically balance out. They automatically balance out. The universal laws say so. Now it might take time, but they automatically balance out. Okay? So someone could say that they love you. Okay? But you pay attention to their actions and pay attention to their words. Okay? And I'm hearing sleaze right now. Sleaze. Sleaze. It's 4:14. Sleaze. So someone is a sleaze. Let's look up that definition, shall we? Our first definition, look up in Malaysia. It's a 14-hour difference, time difference. Okay? So it's 4:14 here, and then it's 1:15 in the afternoon in the U.S. Pacific time, I'm sure that is. So you might be seeing 144414, however, 144. Confirmation. Sleaze. What is a sleaze? Wow. And that's kind of an old school term, right? Who says sleaze? Sleaze? Sleaze refers to immoral or dishonest behavior often associated with corruption, scandals, or low moral standards. It can describe activities, people, or situations that are perceived as distasteful, unethical, or even criminal. Immoral behavior, sleeve. There we go, something about someone's sleeve. Something up the sleeve for sure. If someone's sleazy, there's definitely something up their sleeves. Okay? So sleazy often implies a lack of integrity and a willingness to engage in questionable or unethical behavior. Dishonest actions. It can encompass acts of dishonesty, corruption, deception, especially in political or business contexts. Low moral standards. Sleaze can be used to describe activities or individuals that are considered in low moral quality or lacking in decency. Unpleasant or unacceptable conditions. It can also refer to conditions that are unpleasant and not socially acceptable, especially these involving sex. Okay. Synonyms: immoral, dishonest, corrupt, shady, unethical. Can be used to describe the same concepts as sleaze. So some of us have sleazes dealing with our ancestors. Okay, yeah, because they're dealing with our ancestors and dealing with Most High now. Okay, we've put our sword down. We're not fighting anymore. We're just sitting and waiting and shouting, really dancing. That's what we're doing. Relaxing, whatever you're doing. Okay, waiting for your bounty to come in, waiting for the ding dong or the phone ring or whatever. Again, I'm in Malaysia, so chances are it would have to be a phone call, authorities. Not, I mean, it's the government. Yeah, obviously, they could fly to Malaysia in a heartbeat. That's nothing for them. Um, so, yeah, and yes, my cases are that serious. Okay, I already put one warlock away for 40 to 60 years in 2014. That was 11 years ago. Okay, um, and you can look that up on any search engine. Look up Detroit or Michigan. Look up Kevin, Thomas, and Case. Okay, and you will find it. So, yeah, yeah. So it looks like for some of us, we're going to be sending some corrupt individuals to the pen. Because all we do is win, win, win to the pen, no matter what. And everybody hands go clink. And they cry there, and they cry there, and they cry there. Okay. Collective. I have shaken my head many a day and thought, what in the hell is going on? Many, 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 many a day. Many a day. Many a day. And both before the dark night of the soul and all of the ascensions and all of that, before all of that and after, on both sides, I've asked myself, what is going on? And that's the real truth of the matter. We're not here just to live a life. Everybody here is on a spiritual contract of some sort, okay? To learn, take lessons, and move on, okay? Come back if necessary. But everybody's here on a spiritual journey, whether they accept that spiritual journey, recognize that spiritual journey, ignore it, or whatever, burn it, whatever, okay? It doesn't matter. And you burn your spiritual journey by constantly denying when Most High constantly gives opportunity, extending that unconditional love time and time and time again. That's how you burn your contract. That's how you burn your purpose, okay? So someone who's like, wolf, 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 wolf. It's 5:20, 5:55, okay? And someone who cries wolf, and then one day, well, guess what? Most High doesn't show up. And it's the real wolf. And booyah shaka. Okay? Yeah, booyah shaka. So, something about the radio or whatever, like media. I just heard, I'm living on the air in Cincinnati, WKRP. So Cincinnati, WKRP. That was a good show. I don't remember any of the characters offhand, and yeah. So anyway, I could look them up, but I don't really feel guided to do so. I am looking at, it's not the Great Wall of China, but it is some type of wall that is separating two land masses. I don't know what that is, and there are stairs on top of that wall. That's interesting. I am staying, the apartment is Atlantis, or Alanis, Alanis, Alanis. Okay. So I just wanted to come on again. The thing about love, that song And what I was really hearing through that song for the first time, because I took a different look at it. I did not look at this song as in a person. Okay? I looked at love as in the pure divine being from which we descend. That's how I look at that. So this divine being that birthed us all, gave life to us all, that's the pneuma that even in the 3D keeps you living in flesh. Okay? Keeps your body functioning. Okay? Yeah. So looking at that and then thinking about all the ways that they have expressed and shown me their love and my love for them. And then it gets overwhelming. Because then I'm like, wow. So many times I've given up everything, many things that I loved, but I did it for truth. So many things that I gave up that I loved. So many people that I released that I loved truly, genuinely, deeply, strongly, hard, right? I had to let go. Why? Because love. Okay? And someone might think, no, love is staying around and putting up with their bullshit. No, it's not. That's not love. That's not love. That's sacrifice. That is sacrifice. Okay? And again, there was one being here that came to sacrifice themselves for you, whether you are spiritual or religious. There was a spiritual being that came here to do that for us, including me. Okay? The I am in me, in this flesh. Okay? For all who come here have that opportunity to know of that being here. On some other planet, it's someone else. Trust me. In some other life form, it's someone else. Okay? And so, it is true to say that if you love something, set it free. But the other part of that, I don't agree with. That if it comes back, it was meant to be. I don't agree with that because there are karmic energies that work diligently to keep you enslaved, collective. So I don't agree with that part. Okay? But what I will say is, when you love something so much, but you are brought to a point to where you have no choice but to set it free. You have no choice because it's either you die with them or it or they or you go on to live. What are you going to do? There are so many people who use your name in vain, love, and they stay stuck. They stay in that karmic tude, that karmic attitude. They stay there because they never release what they believe they love and yet are afraid to set free. Confirmation. My ancestors are in Malaysia knocking. They're in Malaysia. Okay? So, it is some journey. It is some journey. But I think it really only gets exciting if you embrace it. Because I think if you stay on the lower levels, you have to manufacture your happiness. You know, and I've been there. You have to manufacture it. You have to work hard for it. And one thing that I've known for a long time, probably since a child, one thing that I've learned for a long time, or knew for a long time, was I did not want to work as hard as the religious people did for what the religious people had. I've known that for a long time, since I was a child. Growing up with Kevin and religious churches and Judy and all of that, I'd be looking around at what they got, and I'd be looking at how they be acting in church, and I'd be like, you doing all that and what? Okay. Okay. All right. Right? Or they're sick or they're ill or something like that, or something goes on, and I'm like, is that how you're going to respond to that? What happened to all your praising and thanking, and now you complaining and crying, and what is, And I just, again, I've been there. I've been frustrated with Most High. Yeah. Especially over the last 3 years. And definitely, we've had some serious conversations. We've had some conversations that some might be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking to them like that. But again, it's the heart that you come with. It's always been pure love, and it always does come that way. And I know for a long time that my heart saves me. Okay? And what do I mean by my heart saves me? I mean that my intentions, I can truly say, are never evil. Have I ever wanted to hurt somebody? Yeah. In fact, when I was in Arizona, I elbowed somebody in the jaw, okay, because they wouldn't shut up. So I elbowed them in the jaw, and the police came by the house. So because they wouldn't shut up, and again, I'm not a debater. And I told the police officers that. I said, I'm not a debater. Okay? He's telling me or threatening me. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to get out of this RV, and I'm going to go settle this. Okay? And it's not going to be with a lot of words. Okay? And so some people might be, that's anger. That's an anger issue. No. I sat there and stood there, and I just listened to him talk, and he wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't shut up, wouldn't stop talking. And I mean, yeah, okay. All right? So that was my choice. That's what I chose to do. He didn't say anything to me the rest of the time I was in Arizona. Not a word. Not a word. That individual's name is Corey. He didn't say anything, not even good morning. He said nothing to me the entire rest of the time I was in Arizona. Okay? Nothing. And he lived there. Okay? And, or on, with his cousin Aaron, on that property. And so, oh, by the way, the police officer was like, yeah, we think he's on something. They were like, yeah, and he probably is meth or something. He was like, they're like, he's not right. There's something wrong. Like, I don't know if he said neurologically, but he was like, how you point to the brain kind of thing, the police officer was. So anyway, so again, some of you might be dealing with a situation like that where your neighbors or the people that you live with or you did live with, you had to leave because they are just asinine, just stupid, just nothing. I did nothing there other than pay my rent on time every month. Okay? Even gave them extra money whenever they would ask. If Aaron needed to borrow money for whatever, for a bill or something, I would even give them extra money. Yeah. I told him when I left, I said, I hope I've been a blessing to you guys. And within myself, I was saying, I hope they get to keep the house when I leave, because I was paying them $600 a month, which I didn't mind, because again, yeah, I don't mind paying. You know what I mean? I don't mind paying. Yeah. So, it's 4:32. So, I think I'll go. And that just like brings up right on an hour, right? Wow. So I think that's it. Again, think about love and think about it in its truest form. Not that you've received from someone else. Think about it in the way that I described it, in the way that Music Soul Child is singing it and describing it in that song, and the way that people treat love. And love being highest divine white love, God's love, Most High's love, Yahweh's love, Jehovah's love, you use that name. That love, that divine source love. Think about that. Okay? As always, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nehru. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can do so via email at theencourager333@gmail.com. Again, there's a 14-hour difference between where I am and the west coast of California. Thank you so much, as always, and be encouraged.